welcome to Sounding Board. Sounding Board is entirely produced and directed by Soroptimist International of Novato. Soroptimist is an international women's organization whose mission it is to serve, improve the lives of women and girls locally and globally. My name is Renee Roberts, and I'm your moderator for tonight. My guest is Carmela Chandrasekhara, who is here to talk to us about a nonprofit organization called Water for People, who is very active worldwide. Welcome, Carmela. Can we begin by you telling us about Water for People?
Thank you, Renee. First of all, before I start talking about Water for People, I would like to thank you and Soroptimist International of Novato for giving me this great opportunity. And I'm really excited to talk about Water for People. But before that, let me talk about the problem. 1 in 7 people in this world don't have access to clean water. That's something people don't think about daily. But also 1 in 4 people don't have access to proper sanitary facilities. Basically, it's not having a toilet.
Wow, that's something. Let me do the math. Now, the world's population just surpassed 7 billion people. So that means that 1 billion people in this world do not have access to clean water, and 1.75 billion people do not have access to a toilet. That's something.
Exactly. Now you must be thinking, I have 2 in my family, and my neighbors have 5 in theirs. So the Joneses must not be having clean water.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make fun of you, Renee, but I just want to bring this fact out to state that, while here in the U.S. we have everyone pretty much has access to clean water, it's not the case in developing countries. So the fact is true: 1 in 7 people don't have access to clean water, and 1 in 4 people don't have access to a toilet.
Wow. So you said that Water for People is a nonprofit organization whose vision is that everyone, everywhere has access to clean water. Tell us how it got started.
I believe in 1980s, early 1980s, a group of people had the same vision that Water for People currently works towards, and those people were related to the water industry, especially American Water Works Association. One of the presidents, I guess he visited one of the countries, developing countries, and saw the problem, and he was really interested in forming an organization to work toward this. But before that, they wanted to do a study on how to help the developing countries. And the idea grew, and in late 1980s, they did formed an ad hoc committee to see how to form this organization, and by 1991, they formed Water for People, international nonprofit.
Mm-hmm. So, Carmela, how did you decide to get involved with Water for People? Did your background help you understand the need for clean water and sanitation?
Of course, yeah. I'm a native of Sri Lanka, and I'm also an engineer working for the water district here in Novato. And my background in Sri Lanka, I've seen many women and girls spending a lot of time gathering water for their homes, and so I had the background, but the time or the recent moment when my eyes were opened were when I was attending this conference for work. It was by American Water Works Association, and it was a technical conference. But there was one talk given by president of the Cal Nevada chapter of Water for People. So I attended, or I'm glad I attended that talk, and that brought in the problem that exists in Sri Lanka and other developing countries. and that opened my eyes. And from that day on, I thought I'll do something to help this great organization. So that's how I got started.
That's great. Now you say you're from Sri Lanka. Did you have to carry water when you were living there?
Well, I had like 2 stages. But as a child, I was lucky enough. I was one of the lucky girls who didn't have to gather water every morning for my house because we had water in our house. But across the street, maybe a couple of or 100 feet from my house, there was the street and there was a common tap where all the women and girls who didn't have water in their homes gathered to get the water for their homes. And they would wait there waiting for water because they didn't have water throughout the day. It was only 2 hours during the day, once in the morning and once in the afternoon. So they wanted to be the first in the line, and they formed a line and waited there patiently. So yeah.
Yes.
So but later on, when I got married, my husband's family, they didn't have water in the house. So that time I carried water a few times, or maybe more than a few times. But it was mostly my sister-in-laws who did the gathering the water, because I was at work, traveling to work and back, and I had to spend like 6 hours on the road. So but
wow.
it was a job itself. So I know what it takes to carry water.
Yes.
As a girl or a woman.
Yeah.
So it's really heavy, and it's not something anyone wants to do, I guess, if they had the
Right.
if
Right.
they
And have
had
to
the
do
choice,
it. Had to do it more than once a day too, probably. Yes. Yes.
several times a day, I'd say.
So, Carmela, does Water for People have projects in Sri Lanka?
Not exactly, but I know at least they were helping right after the tsunami. Sri Lanka was one of the countries that was that got damaged by the tsunami, and about 35,000 people died. That time, I know Water for People was in there, and also Water for People has been in like 40 countries one time or the other. But mostly their work is concentrated on 11 countries at the moment. And those are in Central America, South America, and in Africa, and also in West Bengal, in India.
In India.
If you want to know the countries, they are like Dominican Republic, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Ecuador, Peru, I guess Bolivia, and then in Africa, Rwanda, Uganda, and Malawi, and West Bengal. Yeah,
Yes,
those
yes.
are the 11 countries.
And what sort of projects does Water for People do in those countries that you mentioned?
They are like gravity-fed systems. When you say gravity-fed systems, that means water flows by gravity. So there has to be some sort of water source on top of a hill, and so there has to be something that carries the water down. So it's basically pipes carrying water downhill, and then there has to be a station where like people can gather water. And there are like hand pumps, and they also do hand washing stations for the schools. I also have a slide that shows like women doing washing at some of the washing stations that Water for People developed near their homes. Otherwise, they would have to go to a river or somewhere far away to do the washing.
Yes.
And I guess Water for People also does hygiene education for kids in developing countries. It's a big thing there because they are not used to washing hands after going to the bathroom, and the kids get sick all the time. So they do installing toilets for the schools, And these are not like very sophisticated, systems like in here.
Yes, yes.
They are
Yeah.
very basic things, but they also do that creatively,
Mhm.
what suits their community and things about their culture, and the people are involved in picking, like, the systems they want there.
So can you uh, explain a little about the different type of systems that might go in culturally, or with their toilets might be different in one country than in another?
Yes, so I guess there's the cultural aspect. So, like, I know from my experience with my in-laws, they didn't like a toilet inside their house.
Mm-hmm.
So, a toilet in a developing country or rural communities would be outside their home, and those are not the types you have here. The way they
Right.
yeah,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
squat on the So and also, what for people, I told you, like, they think about creative solutions. Now, some countries, like, as I remember, it's Malawi, in one of the regions, they have this system where they can, rent a, a bucket or something that, they use to go to the bathroom, and then they use that as compost and use as fertilizer,
Ah.
and then they get money, and they can pay off the money that they had to pay for having a toilet.
Wow.
So
Oh,
those are
yes.
some of the
That's very creative.
ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I'm curious about your husband's family. Do they have water now in their home?
Yes, there's one tap for the kitchen. Still, the bathroom is outside. They have a tap for the bathroom too, but the shower is outside, and it's not even covered. So it's outdoor, and it's like when you go camping here. So it's really exciting. My kids really like taking showers there. But I want to tell you, is like, even though they have water, it's not to the same extent that we have here. It's a basic system, but it works for them.
Mm-hmm.
Even the drinking water there, like, I think there's a clay pot on the slide. I want to show this Indian lady carrying a clay pot, and that's the type of pot they store water. Even though they have a tap, they take water into the pot, leave it for some time, and then take water for drinking from
Right.
that.
I see.
Because there's no treatment for the water. They get water from a spring.
Mm-hmm.
The water's clean, but there can be solids, so that lets the water settle, and so the drinking water doesn't have solids.
Yes.
And their system there was not, something like here. The neighbors got together, and with the help of the, I think the town council or their local organization helped to have a little storage there near the spring, and they worked with the neighbors, and that organization worked to bring the water near their home. So right now they have some water, so that's
Wow.
good.
Neighbors getting together. That's a good example of people working together for the common good.
Right.
Yes. Well, this brings up another question. Do people in the communities that Water for People serve get involved in the projects themselves?
Yeah, very much. So once Water for People or they have their places to work, they don't even fund the whole thing. So they have partners, the local governments, and any private partners, the donors, and the community. They pitch in to do the project. So that's one of the reasons I really like Water for People, because it dignifies the people when they are part of that work, and they have a ownership to it. They
Yes.
get their input, so the community is really involved in getting their project done, and also they use the material that's available locally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the project is pretty much a partnership, and also with local labor, local material. And let me also tell you, like, what for people thinks about the long term, the sustainability.
Mm-hmm.
And that needs some training for the people who are going to run this. So they do the financial training, how to collect tariffs, and also they train how to do repairs. So the community, even after Water for People leaves, they are able to maintain the system. So
Yes,
that's
that's very
something,
important. Yes. Yes. So the local people are actually digging the trenches and
Yeah,
helping.
they do. They put in their own labor to
Yeah.
do the work.
I would imagine that these trenches can be quite long too, from the water source to wherever the tap will be in town.
Yeah, it can be a mile or two long, and then they are digging with their own. I mean, there's no sophisticated equipment there. They put a lot of labor, and because it really means to them to have water, they go into the extent of, like, doing it with their labor and whatever resources they have. And I think one of the slides show people working for one of the projects.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to kind of take this time to maybe talk a little bit about some statistics that I found when I was preparing for the program, and these are from the World Health Organization. And these are I'll just read three of them. The contaminated water is the leading cause of death around the world, and every day 10,000 people die from water-related diseases. And then the most sobering to me was that every 8 seconds a child dies as a result of water contamination. So this is a worldwide crisis that we all need to be aware of and try to do what we can with it. Carmela, you mentioned before that it's the women and girls that are the ones who go and carry the water. And since Soroptimist focuses on issues affecting women and girls, can you tell us what effect little or no access to clean water and sanitation has on women and girls?
Yes, so basically in these cultures, the women and girls are supposed to do the housework. And it's women and girls spending time just gathering water. And it prevents sometimes girls having a formal education, so they don't have time to go to school, and that's part of the not having water. The other aspect is, like, not having proper sanitation. It can prevent girls from going to school, because once they are teenagers, they are really reluctant to use the same bathrooms as the boys. They can be humiliated, like,
yes,
because of not having proper toilets.
Right.
It's a real problem, and also for women, I guess, they don't have time for their family or to do other things to help the family have a better economic situation, because they'll be spending time just gathering water several times a day.
Right, that's very true. And I read that a lot of girls do not go to school during their time of the month because of the lack of sanitation, and that really would hinder one's education. Yeah, exactly. It's very serious. And I know I also read that in India, that a lot of girls just decide not to go to school at all because there are no facilities for them. There's no privacy for them.
Yes.
Yeah. Does Water for People have projects at the schools?
Yeah, they do a lot of projects for schools, like building toilets, and I think I've read somewhere on their website that they have even, like, rooms with mirrors for the girls. So that's something really nice for girls to see how they look, and not very expensive stuff, but something basic.
Make them feel a little bit more empowered.
Yeah, and then the hand washing stations, teaching the kids and also the parents about proper hygiene. Hygiene education is also part of their work.
Yes, that's very important. Well, there are so many organizations out there that help install water in the developing countries. What is so special about Water for People?
I think their approach, the holistic approach to having the proper way, like starting from when they decide to do the work, getting the community involved, they respect and dignify these people, and they work with other partners,
Mm-hmm.
and that spreads the capacity. Once they have partners, donors, volunteers, they work with them for this great vision, and they also use whatever is available locally,
Mm-hmm.
and I like that. And then they monitor and make sure once they leave, the project's not over, and they don't get into disrepair, and that's the end of the project. Like most of the, even though there are other charities that do the similar type of work, sometimes once they leave and people don't have enough knowledge to keep these
Yeah.
systems going. So, and also Water for People is one of the top charities. Like if you go into their website, you can see they are really responsible. They are rated higher in the charities because they know that they have a responsibility towards all these communities,
Yes.
and also to the donors, the people who work very hard to achieve this
Of
great
course,
vision.
yes. I would imagine it would be pretty heartbreaking to, at some point, have access to clean water and then the pump breaks or something and no one's there to fix it.
Back to square one.
Yeah, yeah. So Water for People, they do train the people locally to
Yes.
repair and maintain.
Yes, and then they monitor for 10 years. Right now, they also have this great program where they use the technology to help them to see at a glance like what's working and what's not. If you go into their website, you can see the program is called FLOW, FLOW. I can't remember what they stand for, but basically they use cell phone, Google Earth, and I guess so. The person on the other end can take pictures, and so people looking at the website can do a click and then see whether it's working or not.
Wow, that's amazing. So they can use their smartphones.
Yes.
Well, that's a good thing with technology.
Yes.
So, Carmela, what do you specifically do to help in the fundraising?
So far, I've done a fundraising event every year with the employees of North Marine Ward District, and it's so much fun, to get the employees together, and they've been helping a lot to make these events a success. We've done things from bake sales, pancake breakfast, potluck lunches, and the most recent one we did was a silent auction. So so far, I guess we've raised $3,000 in total.
Wow.
And then this year, I also talked to your group, Soroptimist International of Novato, and they donated money to Water for People. So by speaking and making aware of people, that spreads the vision, and that helps the organization, that helps the people in developing countries. So by doing these things, people become aware of what they have. They learn to appreciate what they have, and also think about the people who don't have the same opportunities.
Yes, that's very true. I know in just preparing for the program and doing some research, it just amazes me how we take it for granted, to have this water just at our fingertips whenever we want it, and so many people don't have it. Well, I like your method of fundraising. It sounds like a lot of fun. So do you return to Sri Lanka often? Do you go back and visit?
Yes, I do, at least once in 2 years. So, yeah.
Do you see a difference in the facilities in your hometown?
Yes, things are improving, and now I don't see people lining up in front of my family home back in my country, because they have access to their water access to their homes. So, and also my husband's family and their neighbors have some sort of access. I think it's improving, but we have to know that population is increasing, and we have to keep up with that pace.
Yes, yes. And you have 2 children who are young adults, and they go back to Sri Lanka with you?
Yes.
And so what is their, how does that affect them? I mean, they've grown up here in the U.S. and they have, you know, have all these luxuries. I guess they really appreciate what they have here.
Yes, I think it's really important for them to see, I guess, both worlds.
Yes.
And yeah, know and appreciate, and know the problems in the developing countries.
Yes.
So they have a better perspective of what
Yeah.
we have,
That's, yes.
what they need to do.
Well, we're almost out of time. Is there anyone, or excuse me, anything else you'd like our viewers to know about Water for People?
It's just one thing. I encourage the viewers to go into Water for People's website. If you just search on Google Water for People, it'll get you to the website. It's www.waterforpeople.org. So it's a great way to learn about this organization.
Yes.
And I would encourage you, every time you take a sip of water, think about the people who don't have that.
Yes, I certainly agree. I will do that for sure. I'm sure our viewers will too. Well, I hope you've enjoyed our program this evening. This is Sounding Board, a production of Soroptimist International of Novato. I would also like to thank Novato Public Access TV, especially Rick Tucker and Leon Johnson, for all their support. Thanks very much.